Armada Book 5 Chapter 3 The Commune Part 2. Back at the Commune? Agent Wallace may have found a serial killer, Mr. Reek, Kelly said. Agent Lyra Wallace was a new FBI special agent and Phantom Tide was her second assignment. Mid-20s and a brunette. She looked young for her age, probably because of her smooth skin and nerdy look with her round eyeglasses. She's wearing an FBI field jacket and underneath was the new uniform Dee Dee designed, which everybody find overly dramatic, with an abstract skull sitting on two wave lines patched on the left arm. The uniform came in maroon, beige and dark blue. The day calls for maroon uniform, but she is wearing beige, her favorite, and with an excuse that nobody seemed to understand how the uniform date worked. Reek was wearing his dark blue uniform while Kelly wore maroon, the correct uniform for the day. Reek shook her hand. Mr. Reek, for women ghosts came to me and described one man with strikingly similar features. Not that the feature matters much more than the tattoo of a bird on his right chest with the initial BD, same killer and same MO. Lyra started. All the women do not know the man. Two of the women were exotic dancers and they were paid by the man for a night. One was a housewife and the other was a student. All of them were from the state of Arizona and all their bodies were never found. Did the women tell us where the bodies are? Reek asked. They did, and 4 Marines will be beaming in within the hour so we can get to the first body. We intend to dig all of them within the day. Kelly said and told Tony to beam the women back near them. We need a local law enforcement officer to witness the dig and do the official report. I have contacted the county sheriff, Captain Arlo Harris, and he assigned 2 detectives to the case. I told them the locations and we will meet them in 2 hours. Lyra said. 4 Armada Marines dressed in FBI field uniforms will take a helo to the first dig and we will just beam in inside an FBI field vehicle, which was a large SUV with the 4 women ghosts. Tony implanted a comm device in the ghosts so they can talk to us. Lyra continued. When the Marines arrived in the commune, they told Reek and Kelly that Tony have already beamed the helo and the SUV to the dig. Tony then beamed all of them to the site. Kelly and the Marines surveyed the area and the victim was one of the exotic dancers named Mary Lou Tell-Lin. Mary Lou's ghost told them she was raped in an apartment then knocked out cold. The guy dumped her body here and she was shot in the head. The man then dragged her body to a shallow grave. She pointed to the area. Lyra and Reek walked around looking for items and evidence. They found a car track, Mary Lou's left shoe and some pieces of paper. The Marines started to dig and when they hit the body, they stopped just enough to expose a part of the body. Then they waited for the police. Mary Lou explained the man was not a regular customer at the bar she was working in and she was attracted to him because of his courteous smile and manners. He seemed well educated as he watched a sci-fi drama on TV, commenting intelligently on the story. His car was an old red Buick but well restored. Pretty expensively restored if you ask me. Mary Lou said. Kelly, why don't you, the Marines and the 3 other ghosts go to the next site and start off? I will tell one of the officers to accompany us in the helo to your area. Reek said. Sure, Tony, beam us to the next site with the SUV please. After a few minutes, the sheriff department arrived with 4 cars. A forensics agent arrived a few minutes later. Their commanding officer, Lieutenant Simon Hudson, gestured his men to secure the area around the dig. Reek introduced himself to the officer. And this is Agent Wallace of the FBI. Lyra handed Hudson her card. Hudson got his card from his breast pocket and gave one to Lyra and one to Reek. Her name is Mary Lou Tell-Lin, a dancer from the White Fox Club. The details are in this memory stick. Lyra said. Do you have a suspect? Hudson asked Lyra. Not yet. But the FBI will give you that information as soon as we have it. I would like that you and 2 officers fly with us to the next site. It's 53 miles from here near a river bend. I believe Lyra gave you the locations of the sites. Reek said. Hudson nodded. Jake, Ramos, come with me with these agents to the next site. Parker, you're in charge here. Send Malone and Ricky to the next site by the river in 2 cars now. After 25 minutes, they arrived to see Kelly and 1 Marine finding the body and exposing part of it again. Lyra started. The body's name is Sarah Daly, a housewife. She was kidnapped at gunpoint near her home near a supermarket. The information is in the same drive. Lieutenant Hudson, the next body is 150 yards from here. Reek said. Ramos, you stay here. Jake, come with me. Hudson said. They hiked for a few minutes along the river and in a slight depression they saw the 3 Marines in FBI suits standing by a partially exposed body. She is Cherry Morell, an exotic dancer from another bar. She was shot in the head as with the other women. All the information is in the stick. Lyra said. Jake, look around and gather evidence around the area. I will leave you and I will work on the other site. The guy should be here in a little over an hour. Hudson said. One of our agents will stay here with your man, Lyra said and nodded at one of the Marine. The Marine nodded almost imperceptibly. Reek, Lyra, Hudson and the two Marines walked back to where Kelly was. The final body is south of the hill near South Mission Road, about 60 meters from the road, Reek said. Kelly, Lyra, Hudson and two Marines rode the helo to the next site. After 30 minutes they were near the area. Reek landed the chopper a few meters from the site. Hudson did not see any tracks of any sort. Just barren land with some bushes. The two Marines walked to an area and without saying a word started digging. In a few minutes they were able to expose a hand. The victim is a student at the local university. Her name is Beatrice Dolan, a sophomore and a would-be engineer. Again, the data is in the stick. Also in the stick are DNA information on all the bodies that you can compare to, Lyra said. Tell me something, Mr. Reek, how did you know where all these bodies are with pinpoint accuracy? Hudson asked. We have GPS locations on all of them given by a very reliable source. We cannot tell you the source at the moment. Lieutenant Hudson, these bodies are just a start. We do not know if the guy killed some more or in the process of killing some women as we speak. We are still investigating. But you would have to do your part. Investigate and document what happened. Soon we will get the name of the killer and we will tell you when and how to arrest him. You will take credit to arresting a serial killer nobody knows exists. We will just leave and fade into the woodwork. Kelly said. We will leave now. 2 of our agents will be left in this site and will leave the area as soon as your people secure the place. Reek said. Back in the ship, the ghosts were happily eating ice cream with Kelly and Lyra in the mess hall. The ghosts were livid, believing in a few hours, their killer will be apprehended. After an hour, Reek beamed and then Tony appeared. I have found the old red Buick. It's parked at the back of a motel. Beam us there, Crimson Invisible please. Reek told Tony. The women confirmed the Buick and they went over to the hotel front office and Tony beamed a hacking device inside the computer. There are 3 single guys, one in 213, one in 112 and the other in 118. Which room is near the back? Reek asked. 112, Tony said and beamed them inside 112 and there they saw the killer sleeping, half naked with his unmistakable tattoo showing in the light from outside through the half-opened window curtains. Tony, get 2 mind readers please. Secure him in a time box. Reek said. The man floated and settled in a sitting position. He was still sleeping when the Max beamed down. Lyra uncloaked and moved to cover his eyes with towel. One of the Max told them telepathically while still holding the killer's head that there is a body in his car. Reek told Tony to scan inside the trunk and Tony confirmed that a body of a woman is indeed in the trunk. Tony said the woman is still alive and suggested an immediate beam up to the medic bay. Reek agreed and told Tony to get a mind reader to get information on the woman, on what happened to her, and told the medics to make sure to put her in deep sleep after treating her. The other Mac showed Reek and his team a vision of the first woman he killed and buried at the back of his house. Reek told Tony to scan his house for a body. Tony confirmed a body buried at the far corner of the lot under a tree behind a tool shack. The area was cemented over. They waited until the Macs finished with their mind reading. Then Reek verified the condition of the woman and the doctors said she will recover. Kelly went out of the room and uncloaked. She called Hudson and Hudson called the local police and in a few minutes, 2 cars arrived. Reek told Tony to beam the woman back in the trunk asleep. Reek and Kelly were waiting outside the door. Lyra came walking with the hotel front desk employee. 4 officers walked to them. Reek introduced his team and told the police that the killer is in the room and that a live body of his victim is still in his car. The police introduced themselves and told the front office man to open up. The hotel employee opened the door and the man was still sleepy. The police stood him up and brought him outside. The police had him identify his car and told him to open the trunk. He sleepily opened the trunk, not remembering what's in it. When the police officers saw the woman they drew their weapons and told the killer to put his hands behind him. The guy made a run for it but Kelly was in his way and Kelly kicked the man in the groin and punched his nose. He tumbled and fell on his back groaning in pain either from a broken nose or the kick in his balls. The police turned him around and cuffed him. In a few minutes, the paramedics arrived and took care of the woman in the trunk who was still sleepy. After 30 minutes Hudson arrived with 2 other police cars. He saw Reek waiting for him. What took you so long? There is another body at the back of his house. Here's the address. Reek said. Hudson was quick. Jake, get the killer at the back of the car. We will go to his house. When they arrived at the killer's house, the Marines dressed as FBI agents were already parked outside. The killer's family was in the house. Hudson called his station for some social workers to help him move the family out of the house and have them live in a hotel while they searched the grounds. The social worker arrived a few minutes after Hudson and Reek's group arrived. The police immediately secured the area and let the killer's family out. The Marines rolled a portable jackhammer to the back of the house and started work immediately. Jake did not let the killer see his family or the family see him. Once they were safely out of the house and headed for the police station, Jake brought the killer out and walked him towards the back of the house. When they reached Hudson and Reek's group, they found several slabs around a hole. It was a shallow grave and the woman's body was reached after a few strokes from the Marine spades. Ramos, secure the entire house. Call forensics and scour the whole house for evidence. Jake, get this scum and lock him at headquarters. Hudson said. Jake was quick. He pushed the killer out. Hudson turned to Reek. Reek, in one day we dug up 5 bodies and rescued one almost dying, and locked up a serial killer. This is one for the books. We try to work fast. I think the killer's luck ran out and ours increased. Tomorrow, you will become famous. Do not mention our group and just tell the press you had help via information from very reliable sources. If they ask if it's FBI, deny it. Hudson looked at Reek questioningly. As you wish, Reek. The Marines were already packing their things up in the SUV and were ready to leave. Reek, Lyra and Kelly drove down the road with them and after a few corners Tony beamed the whole SUV into the hangar bay. When Reek and his group got out of the SUV, they turned crimson invisible. At their far left were the 4 ghosts. Then Max, Trunties and some Norsets beamed in as well. Mary Lou, the light has been following us since you apprehended the guy outside the hotel. We just need to say thank you and goodbye to our friends. The 4 women proceeded to embrace all the Max, the Trunties and Norsets, the Marines and later Reek, Lyra and Kelly. Then like walking through a door they all disappeared. The Trunties suddenly shouted in glee in their usual stutter. Reek shook the hands of the Marines as they patted each other's shoulders. Then Reek shook the hands of Lyra and Kelly. I feel really good today. Lyra said. Meto. Kelly said. I'm hungry. I'll be in the mess hall. Reek said. Mr. Reek, Andrew was right, you are always hungry. Come on, I'll go with you. Kelly said. I like to go to my room and change into some comfortable clothes. I will follow you to the mess hall later. Lyra said. Early the next day, Reek, Lyra and Kelly went down to Anna's house. There were only 2 desks outside but 2 long lines of ghosts started from the 2 desks. They went inside and flipped the closed sign to open. There was a man waiting in the car and he promptly went down when he saw Reek's party. Since there was only one man, their first client for the day, they invited the man to the kitchen for some coffee. Reek introduced himself and the 2 women and told the man that Anna and Arlene are on a foreign trip and will be back in a few days. The man looked mid-60s with a lot of white hair. They noticed his collar and concluded he was a priest. My name is Father Greg, I'm a Dominican priest and I was visiting the local parish when a woman mentioned Anna's place and had high praises for her. Here Father, have some coffee. Lyra handed Father Greg a cup. She also moved the sugar and creamer nearer to him. How may we help you today? Reek asked. Nothing to help, really. I was just very curious and I want to find out if indeed Anna can see and talk to ghosts. Normally, we are not into ghosts but you know our God is a God of the visible and invisible. So maybe Anna can show me the invisible kingdom of God. Kelly looked at Reek and Reek said, sure why not, telepathically to her. I think you can help us with our work. But first you have to sign some forms. Reek said. What can I help you with? Lyra walked back to the living room and got the forms Tony beamed on top of Arlene's desk. She opened the drawer and got a working pen. Father Greg, this is a standard non-disclosure form. So you will not tell our secrets to anybody. Reek explained. Father Greg read the form and seeing there was nothing out of the ordinary, signed it. Now that's done with. Father Greg, our group is called Phantom Tide. We are in the business of helping ghosts move on to the next life. To heaven if you would like to think of it this way. Now there are hundreds of cases and some cases we can understand the issues and help them out and sometimes we are successful. But in some cases we just don't know how to deal with the problem. Some have deep psychological issues we do not know how to deal with. Maybe you can throw in some ideas. Reek started. It's not like there is a college course for ghost problems. Kelly said. Father Greg looked at them and said, are you guys for real? I was expecting Anna would just be able to prove that there is a ghost and that the ghost is actually communicating to her. Now it seems you have organized yourself to do Anna's work en masse. Do you have some whiskey or brandy? I need something stronger. Reek and Kelly laughed. You can talk to the ghosts yourself if you like. There are a lot of them outside registering with our people. Lyra said, her voice was direct but soft and unassuming. Father Greg did not notice the blue haze in the room. Father Greg was still holding his coffee mug when Reek gestured to walk outside with them. When Lyra, who was not crimson invisible, opened the door, Father Greg saw the 2 tables and long lines of ghosts. One line was actually behind his car. Father Greg walked down the steps and Reek called him over. "This is Special Agent Mark Spence of the FBI, that's Major Mickey Holt, and that's Andrea Hutt. Andrea was a professional ballet dancer when she was alive and Mickey died in the Vietnam War. Guys, this is Father Greg." Mickey moved to shake Father Greg's hand. Andrea shook his hand. Agent Spence was busy interviewing a ghost. On the far side, Father Greg saw 3 long tables full of food and a lot of ghost milling around. "I think the line is getting too long. I better call in some people to set another table." Kelly commented and Reek nodded. "The commune has over 100 ghosts already. Running 3 shifts is not easing the flow." Kelly continued. A couple parked their car beside the house on the other side of Father Greg's car. Lyra moved back into the house. "I'll take care of them, Mr. Reek." "They cannot see us, Father Greg," Reek said. As soon as he finished, the woman visitor went through Father Greg. Lyra was at the door and greeted the couple. Father Greg was dumbfounded. "Let's go over to the commune so we can show you our main offices." Tony beamed Reek and Father Greg to the ground floor of the commune. Reek showed Father Greg around, starting from the ground floor to the 3rd floor. All the time Father Greg was quiet while Reek explained away nonchalantly. All around them were ghosts doing whatever and not minding them as they moved around. "Father Greg, one of the problems, as I said, is that we cannot see how we can help some ghosts move on. Take Major Mickey Holt. He died decades ago and he has been wandering around. Now he just helps our field operatives in anything really. We could not see any problem that may cause his extended stay in the ghost dimension. We have people who died, but like him they do not have issues or problems or tragedies that prevent them from leaving the ghost world and moving on. Maybe you can just bless them or maybe talk to them, help them get closer to their maker, then trigger them to move on. Mr. Reek, I think you are miles ahead of me. Would it be such a bother for you if you can start how this came to be? You see, I am probably the most open among our priests in the state and I have been through a lot as a priest. But you have to start me off from the very beginning so I can see where I am and how I would see things around me." Reek stopped and realized he has been telling the priest his issues without the background information needed to make sense of it all. "I am very sorry, Father Greg. I never realized it. Let's go to my office and I will explain from the very beginning." Tony beamed them to his office aboard the Tesla. It took him more than an hour and a half to explain and answer Father Greg's questions. "Okay, I think I understand what I can do. I will start with ministering to the ghosts, hear their confession, bless them and pray with them. It's almost lunch. Can I offer you lunch, Father Greg? After eating, you can start to do your ministering. I just hope it works." "It will, of course." At the mess hall, Father Greg did not show any fear at looking at some of the few alien species that were working in the ship. He was amazed at the food selection. But the best part was the brandy. Father Greg has always loved brandy. As he looked out at the floor-to-ceiling window at Earth, the sun, the moon and the other planets and stars, he realized that God's creation was right there, visible with some assistance using telescopes and the like. The ghosts are also visible with some assistance from an alien life form. So the invisible are actually visible but can only be seen with some assistance. It is also standard for our ghost operatives to be telepathic and have a communications implant so we can talk to each other. Would you mind getting these capabilities, Father Greg? I cannot imagine myself being telepathic and having that implant. But if all your people have this, I guess this will help in the work. It does, and it comes with the know-how to enable you to work better and understand these new things better. Okay, I agree. Reek and Father Greg were beamed inside the Crimson, and after 30 minutes Father Greg was beamed back to Reek's office. That was fun. So how do I get the implant? Stand still. Tony, can you get an implant into Father Greg, please? After a few minutes, is it done? Father Greg asked. Reek looked at him. Yes, 2 minutes ago. Father Greg, there are some ghosts, about 11 right now, who came from a museum and they will be finishing one of their classes in a few minutes. Would you like to talk to them? How long do I have? The ghosts are not going anywhere except for food. You can take as long as you like. Reek walked with Father Greg to the starboard side where one of the larger conference rooms had the 11 ghosts as students. Father Greg told Reek he wanted to get his things from the car. Reek accompanied him downside and after a few minutes they're back ready to enter the class. Reek talked with the teacher who was an Air Force officer teaching the ghosts about the Armada ships. Class, we have Father Greg here to conduct a class with you. Reek and the teacher left Father Greg to figure his work out with his first group of ghosts. Reek went down to look after Lyra, who was left alone in the house. Back near Anna's house, Reek found the house full of people, 9 total. A Mac by the name of Farisa was working on Arlene's table registering and filling out their standard information sheets. Reek went to Lyra and found them Crimson invisible. He turned invisible as well. He saw Lyra at the back of the table and an elderly couple was talking to Lyra in front of him. Reek realized the man was the ghost and told Lyra. Lyra nodded. Reek stood behind Lyra, not wanting to disturb the couple standing across the table who were obviously deep in argument. I told you to take care of yourself and stop this nonsense. I do not like you to follow me, I do not want you to die. You are killing yourself with this depression and loneliness. You have to take action. Go out, do something. I do not want you to die. Go to Eric's house. He needs money and you need your son's company. The man told the woman. The woman was quiet and in tears. She wiped them with a piece of soft Kleenex, which was a standard issue on Anna's table. You can help your husband by following his wishes so he can move on from this world and into heaven. Please do this for yourself and for your husband. Lyra said. The lady is right. Thank you, Lyra. The man said. The old woman said, okay, I will go to Eric and maybe I should go to Canada and visit Rose and the kids. Good. Promise me you will take care of yourself. Live long, enjoy yourself. The old woman embraced her husband long. Thank you, Harry, I love you very much. The old man responded by kissing his wife's cheeks. Take care of yourself, please. I will, I promise. Then the husband turned to his left and there now, I have to go. I love you, Bethilda. The husband took 3 steps back and disappeared. Lyra uncloaked all of them. Thank you, Lyra, I don't know how you did that but you helped get me my life back. Thank Harry. I was just listening. Yes, you're right. Thank you and I will surely refer you to all my friends, the woman said and was headed for the door. Go easy on the referral please. Lyra said. The woman nodded, opened the door and left. How was your day? Reek asked. My score stands at 3 wins and 1 loss. This is complex work and all we have is our wits and the ability to make our clients see their dead relatives. Farisa's voice came over the implants. The next is Mr. Lacrosse, a single man, 67 years old and he lost his son in a stabbing a month ago in Dallas. He feels his son around him and he believes his son wants to tell him something. A thin and frail-looking man stepped in and closed the door. He was wearing a white shirt with large pockets and black jeans. He looked like a farm worker. He was carrying a small cowboy hat. Lyra motioned for the chair and got the interview form he had with him. Lyra introduced herself and Mr. Reek. Then they turned crimson invisible. Lyra started, Mr. Lacrosse, your son died unexpectedly a month ago and you feel he is trying to tell you something. That is correct, young lady. What do you think is he trying to tell you? Lacrosse shrugged, I have no idea. Your son's name is Walter James. Are you Walter James, mister? No, of course not. Yes, just call me Walt. Walter said. Lacrosse was shocked hearing his son's voice. He turned around and saw his son. Why don't you tell your father why you are still hanging around him? Lyra said. Lacrosse stood and went over to his son and embraced him tight. The son embraced back. They were both crying now. I am sorry, Dad, I misunderstood you. I thought you never cared for me and what I do with my life. You were always working, out of the house, building your empire. When I died I saw you destroy yourself. You don't eat, you don't go out with your friends or relatives, you're always depressed and crying all the time. You shout at my sister and brother, and you stopped caring for the world, your business. Look at you, you are so thin and frail, weak and on your way to an early grave. Working was my way of coping with your mother's death 10 years ago. If I do not get busy I will get depressed and will not be able to take care of you and your brother and sister. Now this work caused your death. It was an accident. Do not blame yourself for my death. Dad, I want you to stop doing this nonsense. Take care of William, John and Lucille. Train William to help you with your business. He has the attitude and your business skills, Dad. Lucille too, actually has your skills and Mom's business acumen. You have to get your life back. Why are you doing this to yourself? This is crazy. I love you so much, son. I adored you since the day you were born. You have made me proud and happy with what you have made of yourself. So I thought you will do fine. You don't need me and I feel I have succeeded in raising a person who can live by himself. All the money is nothing, just work. You and the kids are my source of wealth and happiness. Nothing more. Stop this. You have to promise me you will take care of yourself and the 2. Promise me so I can rest in peace. I remain as a ghost because of you. Please get your life back. Do this for me. Lacrosse was quiet and then, I am sorry, son. I will do as you say. You don't have to make this a problem. I promise. Lacrosse embraced his son tight again and cried. Okay, Dad, I believe you. Now I am at peace. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, son. Lacrosse noticed that Walt glanced to his right. There, I have to go now. He kissed his dad on both cheeks and stepped back. They saw Walt step to the right, 1, 2 and he was gone. Lyra uncloaked all of them and stood. She got the box of Kleenex, but she put it down when he saw Mr. Lacrosse get a large white handkerchief from his right pants pocket. "Thank you, Lyra, Mr. Reek. I feel good and ready. We're glad and happy for you." Lacrosse straightened his back and walked out of the room. "That's 4-1. Reek said. "Correct," Lyra said, and Reek gave her a high five. Farisa was quick, this one, a family of 3 in a case of a haunted house. They wanted to know if we can talk to the ghosts and have them leave the house. "Tony, beam me and Major Mickey Holt to the haunted house Crimson Invisible, please," Reek said. Lyra stood as the family of 3 sauntered into the room. She got their information form. Reek and Mickey found themselves in the kitchen. There were 3 ghosts, 1 woman and 2 younger men dressed in 1920s fashion. Mickey said hello and tagged the 3. The 3 were taken by surprise. "Okay, my name is Mr. Reek and this is Major Mickey Holt. May I have your name, please?" Reek asked. The older woman spoke, "My name is Laura and these are my friends, Ken and Art. How did you just appear and you're floating?" Reek stopped floating. "Okay, so we came over to ask why you are haunting the family of 3 that lives here? It started as fun, then the family did not respect us ghosts, so we got angry and tried our best to scare them. Why, what's it to you? I want to show you guys something," Reek said, and asked Tony to beam them to the commune. The 3 ghosts were surprised to suddenly be in someplace in an instant. "Where are we?" Laura asked. "This is our main office. We call it the commune because there is always a community of ghosts hanging around. Would you care for some ice cream or orange juice perhaps?" Reek asked. Laura could see some ghost eating something, and at the end of the ground floor were 3 long tables where ghosts seemed to be getting some food. "There are several more tables outside if you don't like the food here," Mickey commented. The 3 ghosts went outside and found there was a line of ghosts trying to get heavier foodstuffs like steak and chicken. Further into the covered parking lot they could see rows of garments. "You can choose whatever clothes you like to wear and walk over to the bathrooms around the corner to change, or you can take a bath then change," Mickey said. "Mickey, take care of them. I'll go back to Lyra and tell the family the ghosts are gone," Reek told Mickey telepathically. "Sure, Mr. Reek, I am sure they do not know how to get back to the house," Mickey answered telepathically. When Reek beamed into the room he told Lyra telepathically that the ghosts were gone and they were now at the commune. "Mrs. Henderson, a ghost just told me that the ghosts haunting your house have left your house and will not be returning." "Are you sure?" Mrs. Henderson asked and gave Lyra a questioning look. "Of course I'm sure. If there are ghosts there, call our number and we'll get them all out." Mrs. Henderson stood and her 2 daughters likewise stood and prepared to leave. "Thank you, Lyra, I hope you're right." "Of course. Thank you for coming and have a very nice day." 5-1 she told Reek telepathically. "I'll go back to the commune and see how Mickey is doing," Reek said. When Reek beamed in at the commune he saw Father Greg appear near him. "Father Greg, how was your class? More than half of the ghosts in the ship disappeared. Does that mean they have gone to heaven, Mr. Reek?" Reek thought he was able to deal with the class of 11 pretty well. "Seems like it. When they move on, a light appears besides them, then they kind of step 1 to 3 steps into the light and they're gone. Forever. So you are saying you were able to have more than half of our ghosts in the ship move on?" "I suppose that's what happened. But I did not see any light. Does that mean I was able to help them then?" "Yes, you did. You delivered them to our maker. Only the ghost can see the light. Crimson sees and feels the light, I suppose, but we don't. Mr. Reek, I believe what you are doing here is something good for our invisible brethren. I would like to talk to some of my friends in the other religious organizations and ask them to help minister to the ghosts, especially those in their religion. I realized that some of the ghosts I sent moving on were not even Catholic, and that's good to know, right? I think you have done well, actually very well, Father Greg. So will you be ministering to the ghosts here as well?" "Yes, but only for a few hours, maybe 3 hours, and then I have to go back to our parish." "Okay, so when you're done, we can meet at Anna's house and have dinner together. I want to know how you did it. And if you can get other priests or rabbis or preachers of the other religious denomination, the better for us. I will contact them tomorrow. I have to start and organize the ghosts now. I will see you later, Mr. Reek." Reek nodded and he went on to look for Mickey. He went to walk inside the first floor when Kelly beamed near Reek. "Mr. Reek, we need to talk. Let's go to Anna's house." Tony beamed them at the back of the house. They sauntered into the house. There were 2 more customers sitting in the living room. "I think we need a bigger receiving facility for our corporal operations. That building across the street. Is it for sale?" "It is. I can get the money from the CIA to buy the property. Let's take a look at it." It was closed. They walked to the side of the building and beamed into the building. They walked around each floor of the 3-floor building and they realized it would work for their operations. "I think we should buy it." I will have my people get it for us as soon as possible. I will go back to the ship and talk to them. Yes, you go ahead. I will go to Lyra. Tony beamed him to the back of the house. Lyra met Reek as she stepped out of the room. Finished for the day? Yes, it's past 5 and the score stands at 6-3. That's good enough. Reek chided her. Yeah, let's have an early dinner, Mr. Reek. Wait, I promised Father Greg dinner. Come on, let's get him and have some dinner at this pasta place in Pasadena. When they got to Father Greg, he was about done. It seemed he had established a good rapport with the ghosts. Tony, how many ghosts did the good Father Greg move on? Tony appeared and said, 118. Reek's jaw dropped. So did Lyra's. That's unbelievable. Lyra told Reek. Father Greg was now walking towards them smiling. I believe we should treat the good father to some really good dinner for his successful first day. He looked at Father Greg. Sure, I was thinking of this since early this afternoon. How on earth were you able to send 118 ghosts to the next life? I took out my gun and shot them. He laughed. I don't know, I felt like reading some passages with them, getting them to calm down, have them feel a sense of peace. I blessed them and I prayed for them, we all prayed together, and just like that, one by one, they started to go. I constantly reminded them they must move on to live a better life, meant for them, by God who loves them beyond their understanding and has been waiting for them to come over to Him for a long time already. All of them went through the sacrament of reconciliation and they felt good. And you're right, Mr. Reek. We really need to contact the ministers of other religious denomination because the belief systems of the ghosts are all different just like the living. You're a natural, Father Greg. Lyra said. I thought you said you have people in mind already and that you'll do this tomorrow. Reek said. Yes, I did, but if you have other people in mind, why not? Yes, come to think of it, we have retired ministers, rabbis, and other priests in our old-timer pool of talents. Good, there you go. How about some steak instead? Sure, if Lyra agrees. You are a mind reader, Mr. Reek. Steak is good. Father Greg, I will treat you to the best steaks in the galaxies. Tony, to Andy's please. The next day, Father Greg arrived early and parked on the street across Anna's house. It was still dark as he walked across the street. He requested Tony to turn him crimson invisible. There he saw the ghosts were still in the line and the tables were still full of food and ghosts around. Mickey saw Father Greg and waved him over. Father Greg, hi Mickey, this is Sister Mary, she's a ghost from our parish. She died in India but stopped by our parish and stayed for the past 5 years. Hello, Sister Mary. Mickey shook her hand. Father Greg, I heard you disposed of 118 bodies yesterday. You make me look like a mafioso, Mickey. I hope Sister Mary can help me with my work today. I hope to dispose of thousands. Mickey laughed and, I believe there are hundreds of ghosts in the commune right now needing your services, not thousands. Mickey, where's Dr. Reek? Beats me. Maybe he's in the ship. Okay, I will see you later. 2 weeks later, Debbie and Anna's off-world teams have come back from Gasamjan and Sonia's planets.